Hello and Jai Swaminarayan to all. Today for standard 9th science in physics portion we are going to start our new chapter which is chapter 10 and the title of chapter 10 is gravitation. The topics that we are going to cover are overview and another one is gravitation which has two subtopics from which the first one is universal law of gravitation and another is importance of the universal law of gravitation. Next one is free fall and it also has another two subtopics from which first is to calculate the value of g and another one is motion of objects under the influence of gravitational force of the earth. Next one is mass and another one is weight. Let us start with our overview. In chapter 8 and 9, we have already learnt about the motion of objects and the forces as the cause of the motion. We have learned that a force is needed to change the speed or the direction of a moving object or the object in motion. We always observe that an object drop from a height fall towards the earth. We know that all the planets go around the sun, the moon go around the earth. In all these cases, there must be some force acting on the objects, the planet, and on the moon. Isaac Newton could grasp that the same force is responsible for all of these phenomena, and this force is called the gravitational force. In this chapter, we shall learn about the gravitation and universal law of gravitation. We shall discuss the motion of objects under influence of gravitational force on the earth. We shall also study how the weight of a body varies from place to place, and also we shall discuss the condition of object to float in liquids or on water. Now let us start with our first topic which is gravitation. We all know that the moon goes around the earth. An object when thrown from upward direction reaches a certain height and then falls down. It is said that when Newton was sitting under a tree, an apple fell on him and the fall of apple made Newton start thinking. All of you knows this story that when Newton was under a tree, an apple fall on him and he started thinking about why the apple dropped downward. He thought that if earth can attract an people, can it not attract the moon? Is the force same in both cases? And he conjectured that the same type of force is responsible in both the cases, means in the case of apple and moon. He argued that at each point of its orbit, the moon falls towards the earth instead of going off in a straight line. So, it must be attracted by the earth. But we do not really see the moon falling towards the earth. So, let us try to understand the motion of moon by recalling activity 8.11. The activity 8.11 is given in activity 10.1. According to the activity, take a piece of thread and tie a small stone on one end. Hold the other end of the thread and whirl it round as shown in figure 10.1. Note the motion of this stone. Release the thread. Again note the direction of motion of the stone. Before the thread is released, the stone moves in a circular path with certain speed and changes its direction at every point. The change in this direction involves the change in velocity or acceleration of the stone. The force that causes this acceleration and keeps the body along the circular path is acting towards the center, and this force is called centripetal, meaning the center seeking force. In the absence of this force, the stone flies off along a straight line. Means if this force is absent, then the stone will fly along a straight line and this straight line will be a tangent to the circular path. The motion of the moon around the earth is due to this centripetal force. The centripetal force is produced by or provided by force of attraction of the earth. If there were no such force, then the moon would pursue a uniform straight line of motion. Means without the centripetal force that is provided by attraction of earth, the moon will pursue a uniform straight line motion and not the circular. It is seen that the apple falling is attracted towards the earth. Does this apple attract the earth? And if so, we do not see the earth moving towards an apple. Why? According to the third law of motion, the apple does attract the earth, but according to the second law of motion, for given the force, acceleration is inversely proportional to the mass of an object, and the mass of apple is negligible sum compared to that of the earth. Means mass of earth is greater than the mass of the apple. So we do not see the earth moving towards the apple, and extend the same argument from why the earth does not move towards the sun. In our solar system, all the planets go around the sun. By arguing the same way, we can say that there exists a force between the sun and all the planets. And from the above facts, Newton concluded that not only does the earth attract an apple and the moon, but all the objects in universe attract each other, and this force of attraction between object is called the gravitation force. Means gravitation force is attraction between the objects. Let us move towards our first subtopic, which is universal law of gravitation. We know that every object in universe attract every other object with some force which is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And the force is along the line joining the center of these two objects. Let two objects A and B of masses m and small m, means capital M and small m, the masses of two different objects, lie at a distance d from each other as shown in figure 10.2, and let the force of attraction between these two objects be F. According to the universal law of gravitation, the force between these two objects is directly proportional to the product of their masses. That is, force F is inversely proportional to the mass of object A multiplied by mass of object B, which is our equation 10.1. And the force between these two objects is inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. That is, force is inversely proportional to the distance, means force proportional to 1 by d square. In order to make the distance inverse, we have to divide it by 1. So force is proportional to 1 by d square, and we can also pronounce it as force is inversely proportional to the distance. So F proportional to 1 by d square is our equation 10.2. And combining these two equations, that is equation 10.1 and 10.2, we get force is proportional to mass of object A multiplied by mass of object B divided by distance square, which is our equation 10.3. Or we can say F is equals to G multiplied by mass of object A multiplied by mass of object B divided by distance square, that is our equation 10.4. Here G is the constant of proportionality and is called universal gravitational constant. And by multiplying crosswise, equation 10.4 gives F multiply d square, which is equals to G multiply m, means if we multiply crosswise and take d on the left hand side of equation, then we will get F multiply distance square, which is equals to G, which is our constant of proportionality, multiplied by mass of object A multiplied by mass of object B. Or we can say G is equals to F into d square divided by mass of object A multiply mass of object B, means if we take the masses of both the object on the left side of the equation, that was F into d square equals to G into m into m. If we take this both m on left side, we will get G is equals to F into d square divided by mass of object A multiply mass of object B, which is our equation 10.5. The SI unit of G can be obtained by substituting the unit of force, distance and mass in equation 10.5 as Newton meter square kilogram per meter. The value of G was found out by Henry Cavendish, who was between 1731 to 1810. So the value of G was found by Henry Cavendish by using a sensitive balance. The accepted value of G is 6.673 multiplied by 10 raised to minus 11 Newton kilogram per meter square. We also know that there exists a force of attraction between any two objects. Let's do one thing. Compute the value of this force between you and your friend sitting close by. You have to do a little activity. You have to compute a value of this force between you and your friend sitting close by and conclude how you do not experience this force. Let us look at an example, which is our example 10.1. According to the example, The mass of Earth is 6 multiplied 10 raised to 24 kg and that of the moon is 7.4 multiplied 10 raised to 22 kg. If distance between the Earth and the moon is 3.84 multiplied 10 raised to 5 km, then calculate the force that is exerted by the Earth on the moon. We have to calculate force exerted by the Earth on moon. And take the value of G is equals to 6.7 multiplied by 10 raised to minus 11 Newton kilogram per meter square. According to the question, we have the value of Earth m is equals to 6 multiplied 10 raised to 24 kg and the mass of the moon m is equals to 7.4 multiplied 10 raised to 22 kg. Means in our solution we have taken capital M as the mass of Earth and small m as the mass of the moon. Now the distance between the Earth and the moon D is equals to 3.84 multiplied 10 raised to 5 km. In order to convert that into meter, we have to multiply it by 1000 meter. And by multiplying that in using by 1000 meter, we will get the value as 3.84 multiplied 10 raised to 8 meter, which is the distance between Earth and moon. And the value of G is equals to 6.7 multiplied 10 raised to minus 11 Newton kilogram per meter square. From equation 10.4 which you seen previously, the force exerted by the Earth on moon is F is equals to G multiplied by mass of moon multiplied by mass of Earth divided by distance square, which is equals to value of G is 6.7 multiplied 10 raised to minus 11. So G in place of all these we substitute the value of them. So we will have F is equals to 6.7 multiplied 10 raised to minus 11 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 10 raised to 24 multiplied by 7.4 multiplied by 10 raised to 22 and divided by our distance square, which is 3.8 multiplied 10 raised to 8 meter whole square. And by solving these, we'll get the value of force F is equals to 2.02 multiplied by 10 raised to 20 Newton. And thus, the force that is exerted by the Earth on the moon is 2.02 multiplied by 10 raised to 20 Newton, which is the answer. We'll see our next subtopic, which is importance of the universal law of gravitation. The universal law of gravitation successfully explained several phenomena which were believed to be unconnected, which are: first is the force that binds us to the earth, second is the motion of moon around the earth, third is the motion of planet around the sun, and the fourth one is the tides due to moon and the sun. Means these are the several phenomena that are explained successfully by the universal law of gravitation. Now we will move to our next topic, which is free fall. We will start free fall by doing an activity. Let us try to understand the meaning of free fall by this activity. Take a stone, throw it in upward direction, it reaches a certain height and then it starts falling down. We have learned that Earth attracts objects towards it. This is due to the gravitational force. Whatever object fall towards the earth under this force alone, we say that the object are in free fall. Object falls freely. Is there any change of velocity of falling objects? While falling, there is no change in the direction of motion of the object, but due to Earth's attraction, there will be a change in magnitude of the velocity. Any change in velocity involves the acceleration, and whenever an object falls towards the earth, an acceleration is involved, and this acceleration is due to the earth's gravitational force. Means the acceleration of an object that is involved in velocity is due to the gravitational force of our earth. And therefore, the acceleration is called acceleration due to gravitational force of the earth or acceleration due to gravity. It is denoted by g. The unit of g is same as that of the acceleration, that is meter per second. We know that from the second law of motion, the force is product of mass and acceleration. Let mass of gravitational force is denoted by g. Therefore, the magnitude of the gravitational force F will be equal to product of mass and the acceleration due to the gravitational force, that is F is equals to m multiply g, from which is our equation 10.6. And from the equation 10.4 and 10.6 we have m into g is equals to g multiplied by m into m divided by f d square. The g multiply m into m divided by d square was the value of f which we have got in previous equations, and so we can say that mass into the acceleration, that is denoted by g. So mass into g will be equals to capital G multiplied by mass of object 1 multiply mass of object 2 divided by distance square, or we can say g is equals to g multiplied by m divided by d square, because as there are m both the sides, so they will be removed and we will get value of only the g, which is acceleration denoted by g is equals to capital G multiplied by capital M divided by distance square, which will be our equation 10.7, where m is mass of the earth and d is the distance between the object and the earth. Let an object be on or near the surface of earth, so the distance d in equation 10.7 will be equal to r. R is the radius of earth. And thus, for object on or near the surface of earth, we can say that mg is equals to g multiplied by m into m divided by r, which is radius square, r square, which is our equation 10.8. And as here also we have small m on both the sides of equation, so we'll remove it and we get the value of g, acceleration of gravitational force, is equals to capital G multiplied by mass of earth divided by radius of our earth, square of radius of our earth, means small g is equals to capital G multiplied by m divided by r square, which will be our equation 10.9. The earth is not a perfect sphere. As the radius of earth increases from the poles to the equator, the value of g, which is our acceleration of gravitational force, becomes greater at the poles than at the equator. Means our earth is not a perfect sphere shape. As the radius of our earth increases from the poles of equator, you all know what equator is. So as the radius increases from poles of equator, the value of acceleration of gravitational force also becomes greater at the poles than at the equator. And for most calculations, we can take the value of g to be more or less constant on or near the earth. But for the objects that are far from our earth, the acceleration due to gravitational force of earth is given by equation 10.7, which was g is equals to g multiplied by mass of earth divided by distance between the object and our earth. Now we will see our first subtopic of topic free fall. The first subtopic of that topic is to calculate the value of small g, or say to calculate the value of g. In order to calculate the value of g, we should put the value of capital G, M and R in equation 10.9. Namely, universal gravitational constants g is equals to 6.7 multiplied 10 raised to minus 11 Newton kilogram per meter square. Mass of the earth m is equals to 6 into 10 raised to 24 kg, and radius of our earth is r is equals to 6 into 4 multiplied 10 raised to 6 meter. And by substituting the values in equation 10.9, we will get the value of g is equals to g multiply m by r square, which will be equals to 6.7 multiplied by 10 raised to minus 11 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 10 raised to 24 whole divided by 6.4 multiplied 10 raised to 6 meter whole square. And by solving this equation, we'll get the value of our small g is equals to 9.8 meter per second. And thus the value of acceleration due to gravity of earth g is equals to 9.8 meter per second. Now we will see our next subtopic of free fall, which is motion of object under the influence of gravitational force of the earth. Let us do an activity to understand whether all objects, hollow or solid, big or small, will fall from height at the same rate. So we will start the topic by the means of an activity. According to the activity, take a sheet of paper and a stone. Drop them simultaneously from first floor of a building. Observe whether both of them reach the ground simultaneously. We see that the paper reaches the ground little later than the stone. This happens because of air resistance. The air offers resistance due to friction to the motion of falling object. You have all done such activities by throwing the stone and a paper from your first floor, and you have observed that the paper will fall on the ground after the stone. This is because of air resistance, as the air offers resistance due to friction to the motion of the objects that are falling. The resistance that is offered by air to the paper is more than the resistance that is offered to the stone. And if we do the experiment in a glass jar from which air has been sucked out, the paper and the stone would fall all at a same rate. We know that an object experiences acceleration due to the free fall, and from equation 10.9, which was g is equals to g multiply m by r square, where m is the mass of our earth, r is the radius, this acceleration experienced by an object is independent of its mass. This means that all the object, whether they are hollow or solid, big or small, should fall at the same rate. And according to a story, Galileo dropped different objects from the top of Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy to prove the same thing. As g is constant near our earth, all the equations from uniformly accelerated motion of objects become valid with acceleration a replaced by g. And the equations are v is equals to u plus a multiplied by t, which is our equation 10.10. Here we have replaced a by g. S is equals to u multiplied by t plus 1 by 2 a multiplied by t square, which is our equation 10.11. And v square is equals to u square plus 2 into a into s, which is our equation 10.12. In all this equation, u and v are the initial and final velocities. S is the distance covered in time t. In applying these equations, we will take acceleration a to be positive when it is in the direction of the velocity, that is in the direction of a motion, and the acceleration a will be taken as negative when it opposes the motion. Means if acceleration is in the direction of motion, it will be positive, but if the acceleration will be in opposite direction of the motion, then the value of acceleration will be negative. Let us look at our example 10.2. According to it, a car falls off a ledge and drops to the ground in 0.5 seconds. Let g is equals to 10 meter per second. For simplifying our calculation, we have to calculate three things. First, what is the speed on striking the ground? Second is what is average speed during 0.5 seconds, and third is how high is the ledge from the ground. So let's look at the solution. Time t is equals to 0.5 or 1 by 2 second, and initial velocity u is equals to 0 meter per second. Acceleration due to gravity g is 10 meter per second, and acceleration of the car is plus 10 meter per second downwards. So first we will calculate the speed on striking the ground, which is v is equals to a multiplied by t, which is v is equals to 10 multiplied by 0.5, which will give an answer of our speed is equals to 5 meter per second. Second is the average speed during 0.5 seconds, which is equals to u plus v whole divided by 2, which is 0 plus 5 divided by 2, which gives us answer 2.5 meter per second as average speed. Third is how high is the ledge from ground, means distance. So distance traveled s is equals to 1 by 2 at square, which is equals to 1 by 2 multiply 10 meter per second multiply 0.5 second square, which will give us answer as 1.25 meter. So the speed on striking the ground is 5 meter per second. The average speed during 0.5 second is 2.5 meter per second, and the distance from ledge to ground is 1.25 meter. These are our answers. Now we will see another example, our example 10.3. According to it, an object is thrown vertically upward and rises to a height of 10 meter. We have to calculate first the velocity with which the object was thrown upward, and second, the time taken by the object to reach the highest point. So the distance travelled in our solution s is equals to 10, which is already given in the question, and final velocity v is equals to 0 meter per second. Acceleration due to gravity g is 9.8 meter per second, which we have previously calculated in calculating the value of g. So the acceleration due to gravity g is equals to 9.8 meter per second, and acceleration of the object A is equals to minus 9.8 meter per second, as it is going in upward motion, means in opposite of the motion. So it will be minus 9.8 meter per second. So solving our first, which is the velocity with which the object was thrown upward, is v square is equals to u square plus 2 multiply s, which is our final velocity v is 0. So 0 is equals to u square, which we don't know the value of u square, plus 2 multiplied by minus 9.8 meter per second multiplied by 10. And by taking the equation that are with u square on left side, it will become negative. So we will get the value of u square is equals to minus 2 multiply 9.8 multiply 10 meter per second square, which will give us the value of u is equals to under root 196 meter per second. And by solving the root, we will get the value of our velocity u, initial velocity u, is equals to 14 meter per second. And solving another point, which is the time taken by object to reach the highest point, we have the formula v is equals to u plus a multiplied by t. The value of our final velocity v is 0 equals to 14 meter per second minus 9.8 meter per second multiplied by t. We don't have the value of t, we have to find it. And by taking t on left side, we'll get the answer as 1.43 seconds. So the answer for the velocity with which the object was thrown upward is 14 meter per second, and the answer for the time taken by object to reach the highest point is 1.43 seconds. Now we will start our next topic, which is mass, which is a very small topic. We have learnt in previous chapter that the mass of an object is measure of its inertia in section 9.3. We have also learned that greater the mass, the greater is the inertia. It remains the same whether the object is on the earth, the moon, or even in the outer space. And thus, the mass of an object is constant and does not change from place to place. Now we will move to our next topic, which is weight. We know that the earth attracts each and every object with a certain force, and this force depends on the mass of that object and the acceleration due to gravity. The weight of an object is the force with which it is attracted towards the earth, means weight of the object is the force which is attracted towards the earth. We know that force is equals to mass into acceleration, which is our equation 10.13, and that is force F is equals to mass into acceleration due to gravity, which is g. F is equals to m into g, which is our equation 10.14. The force of attraction of earth on an object is known as weight of the object, and it is denoted by capital W. Substituting the same in equation 10.14, we'll have the value as, instead of force, we'll have W, as the force of attraction of earth is also known as weight of the object. So we'll have W is equals to mass into the acceleration due to gravitational force m into g, which is our equation 10.15. W is equals to m into g. And as the weight of an object is the force with which is attracted towards the earth, the SI unit of weight is same as that of the force, which is Newton. So SI unit of weight is Newton, capital N. The weight is a force acting vertically downwards. It has both magnitude as well as direction. We have also learned that the value of acceleration due to gravitational force, means the value of g, is constant at a given place, and therefore at a given place the weight of an object is directly proportional to mass, say m, of the object, which is capital W is proportional to small m, means weight is proportional to mass. It is due to this reason that at a given place we can use the weight of an object as a measure of its mass, and the mass of an object remains the same everywhere, that is on earth and on any planet, whereas its weight depends on its location because g depends on the location. So this is the reason why weight is directly proportional to mass, because the mass of object remains same everywhere, either it is on earth or on a planet, it will remain same. So weight is directly proportional to the mass m, whereas weight depends on its location because g depends on the location. Now we will look at our first subtopic of our main topic, weight. The first subtopic is weight of an object on moon. We have already learned that weight of an object on earth is the force with which the earth attracts the object, and similarly the weight of an object on moon is the force with which the moon attracts that object. The mass of moon is less than that of the earth. Due to this, the moon exerts lesser force of attraction on object. Means due to the lesser mass of moon than earth, the moon will exert less force of attraction on the object. Let mass of an object be small m and let its weight be on moon be wm. Means let the weight of the object on the moon be wm and let the mass of the moon be capital M and its radius be rm. Then by applying the universal law of gravitation, the weight of object on moon will be Wm is equals to g multiplied by mass of moon multiplied by mass of the object divided by the radius of moon square, means radius square rm square, which is our equation 10.16. You can see that. And let the weight of the same object on the earth be we. The mass of earth is m and its radius is r. From equation 10.9 and 10.15 which we have seen previously, we have weight of object on earth is equals to g multiply mass of our earth multiply mass of object divided by r square, which is radius of our earth, which is equation 10.17. We have also a table 10.1 where the mass and radius of object on earth and moon is listed, value of mass and radius. So substituting the value of table 10.1 in equation 10.16 and 10.17, we get value of weight of object on mass is equals to g multiply 7.36 multiply 10 raised to 22 kg into meter divided by 1.74 multiply 10 raised to 6 meter whole square. And by solving these values, we'll get weight of object on moon is equals to 2.431 multiply 10 raised to 11 g multiply m, which is our equation 10.18a, and weight of object on earth is equals to 1.474 multiply 10 raised to 11 g into m, which is our equation 10.18b. Now if we divide the equation 10.18a by equation 10.18b, we'll get weight of object on moon divided by weight of object on earth is equals to 2.431 multiply 10 raised to 10 divided by 1.474 multiply 10 raised to 11, and by solving this we'll get the value as 0.165, which will be equal to 1 by 6. So the weight of object on moon divided by weight of object on earth is equals to 1 by 6, 1 divided by 6, which is our equation 10.19. And in order to find the weight of object on moon, we'll simply take the weight of object on earth on the right hand side of equation, so it will go in multiplication. So we'll get the weight of object on moon equals to 1 divided by 6 multiply the weight of object on earth, and in this way we'll find the weight of object on moon. Now we will look at example 10.4. According to it, mass of an object is 10 kilogram. What is the weight of weight of that object on earth? Means we have given the mass of an object which is 10 kg and we have to find its weight on earth. So looking to our answer, we have mass m is equals to 10 kg and acceleration due to the gravity g is equals to 9.8 meter per second. And we have the formula as w is equals to m into g, which will be equals to 10 into 9.8 meter per second, which will give us answer as 98 and Newton, as the unit for weight is Newton, and thus the weight of the given object on earth is 98 Newton. Now we will see our another example 10.5. According to it, an object weighs 10 Newton when measured on the surface of earth. What would be its weight when measured on the surface of moon? So we have to find the weight of that object when it is measured on the surface of moon. We know that weight of object on moon is equals to 1 by 6 multiply weight of object on earth. That is, weight of object on moon is equals to weight of object on earth divided by 6, which will be equals to 10 by 6 Newton. It will give us 1.67 Newton, and thus the weight of an object on the surface of moon would be 1.67 Newton, which is our answer. So these were our topics which we discussed. The topics that we discussed were: first one was overview, then gravitation, which has two subtopics: universal law of gravitation and importance of the universal law of gravitation. Second one was free fall, which also has two subtopics, which are to calculate the value of g and motion of object under influence of gravitational force of earth. Third one was mass, and fourth one was weight. So that is it for the topic we will discuss in next session. Thank you.